Sorry, brothers and sisters, Imam just came with a reminder of everybody you have to pay zakat before the football. So if you haven't paid zakat this visit, right now is the time. Inshallah, put it in the box, inshallah. I think it's 15 this year, inshallah.
There's no Ikama and there's no Adhan for Eid. There's just different ways that the people approach it, but in the first rak'ah, we'll do 7 takbeers, and in the second rak'ah, before we begin the recitation of the second, we'll do 5 takbeers.
Doing all right.
So we would stand for Eid.
Sorry, that's loud.
Ikama to Allahu Akbar.
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 Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghairil maghdubi alayhim. Waladdallin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sabbih isma rabbikal a'la alladhi khalaqa fasawwa walladhi qadara fahada walladhi akhraja al-ma'a faj'alahu ghuta'an ahwa Sanuqri'uka fala tansa ila ma sha'allahu innahu yahlamu jahra wa ma yakfa wa nuyasiruka lil yusra fadhakkir in nafa'ata dhikra sayazakkaru ma yakhsha wa yatajannabu al-ashqa alladhi yasla an-nar al-kubra thumma la yamutu fiha ولا يحيى قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا وللآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي صحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. الله Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahus samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. 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 Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wasta'inuhu wastadihi wastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Aslahu bil huda wa dinil haqq liyudhhirahu ala din kullihi wa la kariha al-mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, bid-din al-haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper positions in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Buniya al-Islam wala khams shahadati an la ilaha illallah wa Muhammadan Rasulullah وإقامة الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وحج البيت وصوم Ramadan. That Islam was built on 5 pillars, 5 foundations. And the construction was the Shahadatain, the first La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. They're separate and not equal. One is superior to the other. One, that there is no God but Allah. Stop. This has to do with purification, which we'll go through in the second part of the khutbah, the purification of our deen. Many people don't realize that since Islam was founded on that principle of one God, of monotheism, it was in contrast to the area, in that area of Arabia, and the whole world was multi-theist, polytheist. They had many gods, a God for the winter, God for the summer, God for everything. So in order to purify religion, Allah resends this same message that there is only one God. This is cleansing, this is purifying the deen. You know, when you say, I do not associate anything with Allah, and then throughout history there's been many Anbiya sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the people. Some say 120,000, some say 300,000. And the number is not exact, but it's a large number. That there are so many that we can't relate all their names, nor all their names known. But some were Rasul. Rasul means that they came with a risala, they came with a book. They came basically with a written message. So that's what a risala is. A risala is a collection of writings. So when it says La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, that there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, comes with the risala, which is the Quran, of course, with the message and his traditions. And as part of the Quran, it says that he speaks not of his own, so even, some exaggerate, they say that the prophet's words are holy. Like, that's exaggerated. There's a human part. Remember, if he wasn't a human being, it wouldn't be no sense in sending him for us as an example, right? Remember, it talks about angels. Suppose they send us angels. You say, we can't follow that guy. He's an angel. He got special characteristics. We can't follow him. But you can follow the messenger of Allah, Rasulullah, and he brings the risala with a rahmah, with a shifa, with a healing, with a tonic for all the illnesses of the heart. So this is the quest of man, is to reach that great position. So it says Islam is built on those 5 principles, each one of those principles. After La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, that is the purifying principle. But then, you know, salah has to do with cleansing and purification. It has to do with discipline. It has to do with self-control. It has to do with focus. Can you imagine you getting up 5 times a day, interrupting everything you're doing in this modern world and praying 5 times a day? You can say it ain't discipline if you like, but it is. If you've been up half of the night studying and doing something, and you got to get up at 5 in the morning for salat, or if you're in a cold water flat, as soon as you touch the floor, it's cold and freezing in the middle of the winter, that's serious business. It teaches you regulation, it teaches you order, it teaches you discipline, it teaches you self-control. It also teaches you to focus. And in life, if we want to be successful, we have to be able to focus on the target. For us, the target is the hereafter. So we have this salat to train us, to teach us discipline, self-control, and zakah, it means it grew, it developed, it improved, but it also means purification, like tazkiyah bil-nafs. May you part of the second. Tazkiyah means cleansing, heat, purification, cleaning of the self. So encapsulated in all the principles of Islam. Buniyya al-Islamu ala khams. Islam is built on 5 principles. And zakat is one of them that purifies. When you can give away some of your wealth, you can pray 5 times a day. That's just the normal. Of course, you got plenty of sunnahs to go with that. Then you can give some of your wealth. How stingy are we? Tell the truth. You know, my father planted a tree in our backyard, and a beautiful plum tree, man. Yeah, big, beautiful, they blue and red, and I mean this serious. And the birds, when they get ripe, the birds be chirping and call the other birds. They're ready, everybody. That's the way the animals do. Suppose you stumbled around and kicked something and found a pot of gold there. Would you call all the brothers? Man, I kicked this thing and I popped a pot of gold. It's gold here for everybody. Is that what you do? Absolutely not. Why? Because we are stingy. We become stingy. We're not free like a bird. You know what I mean? We're not like that. So this giving away some of your wealth purifies it, cleanses it. It purifies you. And once you start giving, you find out something that you don't believe naturally. It's better to give than to receive. Most of us, it's better to receive than to give. We want somebody to give us something. We don't want to be, this is that natural. This is what Islam is here to do. It's here to naturalize, to cleanse us, and also to balance us off. You know? And then, Hajj al-Bayti, well it has 4, number 5. Hajj al-Bayti, to make pilgrimage, to make a small hijrah to the house. The one thing about it, if you make your pilgrimage correctly, right? If you do your pilgrimage correctly, when you come back just like you've been reborn, rebirth. Now, we're not Christians, you're going to be born again, but you come back clean as a whistle. You can read all the hadith on the subject. One thing about Hajj is all of us dressed the same. We all have the same seamless garment, same type of garment that we have when we die. So technically that has significance. That when you leave here and go there, you should leave your old self here. And they die, and you go over there and be rejuvenated. You see yourself, of course, on Arafat, but you can visualize the day of judgment. All the people being raised at one time. Of course, you may not see everybody. You're going to be so busy, you wouldn't care who many people is there. You're going to be worried about yourself. Remember what the Quran said, you're going to be sweating your own bullets on the day of judgment. You ain't going to be worried about that. The brothers did this, the brothers did that. I was acting a fool because the leader, our president was a fool, he misled me. He said, you was following him, well, they go right, get on right in behind him. Right? That's what it's going to say. Well, Sawmi Ramadan, which in this hadith is put at number 5. Fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you learn self-restraint, self-discipline, self-control. Right? If you don't have self-control, you can't win in sports, you can't be a good student, you can't study, you can't do nothing without self-discipline, without self-control, without tenacity, without courage, right? Because sometimes you don't want to study because you're tired. Right? Sometimes you don't want to go to work. Well, don't go to work. Just the bills won't get paid. You'll be like the people across the street the other day, come out and all their stuff was in the street. We live in a bitter, heartless society, isn't that right? They'll put all your stuff out in the street like it ain't nothing. And everybody floating around like vultures snatching at your stuff. I thought you was my neighbor, man. Well, you better keep your eye, because if you look over here, I'm snatching at. Right? So you got to go to work. You have to keep yourself in. But in Islam, we do it because we're trained to do it. And ibadah and worship and work goes together. Khidmah, work, is a part of Islam. You know, remember the people was, some of the people were fasting, and the ones that wasn't fasting put up the tents and everything, and the Prophet ﷺ said the ones that wasn't fasting took up all the blessings today because they did the work. You see? Buniyya al-Islamu ala khams. Shahadati and la ilaha illallah wa ikamati salat wa ata zakat wa sawmi Ramadan. I forgot to mention Muhammad Rasulullah. This is the principles of Islam, but this is what the day is all about, having a rebirth, a rejuvenation in our great way of life that Allah blessed us to come to. I want to stray just for a second for a group of people who was taken away from their homeland centuries ago. They say 40–45% of them was Muslims. Their language, their culture, their religion was stolen from them, and they didn't even know nothing about nothing. Except the one that taught them everything was the one that enslaved them. And when we come up, Africa was known as the dark continent, remember? That means unknown. They said people in Africa had big pots and throw people in them and boil them and run around the pot. Y'all remember them cartoons? Yeah, that's what they said. They said we wore grass skirts. They never talked about the great civilizations. The great civilizations of Africa, they never talked about none of them. They never talked about Mali. They never talked about Songhai, Timbuktu. They used to tell us, if you was lost or something, they said, this guy is lost as if he's from Timbuktu. They didn't tell us Timbuktu was a seat, Mali was a seat of knowledge in that part of West Africa. They didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us Kuliya, means everything. College come from there. That's where colleges come from. The first college in Africa wasn't in Egypt. It was in Mali. We didn't know none of that. They took all that away from us. They said, y'all never did nothing. Have you ever noticed? Right now today, you ask anybody where Egypt is. Whoever they tell you is that, 90% of people will say it's in the Middle East. Won't they? Egypt is in the Middle East. It's in Africa.
Northeast Africa.
That's right.
Egyptian.
And then, it's not a light dark thing, but in the old days, you look at the pictures of the pharaohs and all them people, them statues. Are they as light as people are in Egypt right now? If you think I'm jiving, you go to southern Egypt, and the people start looking Sudanese. When I was in Egypt, then we went on to Sudan. I have some pictures of you. First, I visited in Cairo, the ancient the museum in Sudan, and I saw mummies, and I saw those all the things they had in Egypt. I said, where do these mummies come from and all of this? He said, we got them. I'll take you to the royal city. I have pictures of the royal city. Civilization didn't go up the Nile, went down the Nile. Everything in Egypt was in Sudan earlier. Everything. You look at the hieroglyphics, I saw it myself. The pyramids were smaller, but they were pyramids. the writing, the hieroglyphics, all of that came from Sudan, down the Nile, not up the Nile. In fact, most things travel down the Nile or down the Amazon, right? Not up it. They had us thinking that that's the cradle of civilization. Those three, Mesopotamia, right? The Nile Valley, the Nile. All of those things, they never said up the Nile. They never said that. Then Allah brought us here. These people stole everything from you. And now here we are back to Islam. You got to realize the blessing. Next khutbah, we'll talk a little bit about the quest. Why Allah bless us to come back to Islam after being lost in the wilderness of America. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm just going to read the English. Nor do I absolve my own self of blame. The human soul is certainly prone to evil, unless my Lord do bestow his mercy. But surely my Lord is all forgiving, most merciful. And in this ayat, this is in Surah Yusuf, and it's talking about the condition of the ladies when she's confessing. But she's saying that the soul is weak. And the name is given Amara, Nafs Amara. Nafs Amara is the physical self mainly. It's prone towards satisfying its own self. So the Nafs Amara is the height of desire and prone toward moving in the direction of what we would call desire. So it says Amara, prone, impelling, headstrong, passionate. That's Nafs Amara. Then it talks about, and I do call to witness the self-reproaching spirit which eschews evil. And here we're talking about Nafs Lawama. Nafs Lawama is consciousness. When the Nafs Amara don't make no big decisions about. Nafs Amara see a beautiful woman, Nafs Amara want to get with her. You know, Nafs Amara don't say to her, she's married, she's underage, you know what I mean, that's somebody's daughter, something like that. Nafs Amara don't say nothing like that, you know. Nafs Lawama is when there's a consciousness. Now, consciousness technically is when you become a human being, because an animal is ruled by Amara. It doesn't have like moral consciousness, like you ever seen these wilderness programs and the animal programs, and you see a lion eating a pretty little lamb. You say, man, that's cold. It's not cold, that's the way it is out there. The strong prey on the weak. And if it ain't no weaker parent, they go and they spook the herd, right? And make them run. But one's gonna be walking with a limp. Oh, that's the one we're gonna knock over. So that's no ethical or moral, but the human being has a conscience. Well, I just got married, so that's a nice lady, but I ain't gonna mess around. She's breaking her eyes and carrying on, I ain't gonna mess around. That don't mean the self-approaching spirit win. It means you become a human being. That's a real tussle. You conscious, you got a conscience, but that don't mean your conscience win every battle. Hey, you just a human being and you make conscious decisions. And now, there's one more. This is To the righteous soul, will be said, O thou soul, in complete rest and satisfaction, come back thou to thy Lord, well pleased thyself and well pleasing unto him. Enter thou among my devotees, yea, enter my heaven. So the short talk today is about this great quest. The quest is to become human. But the quest is laid out by the struggle of the human soul. Nafsamara, we all got him and he big time. He's usually running things. They say if it feels good in America, it's all right. That's Nafsamara. Nafsalawama seems to be present in some of us from time to time. That means we have a conscience. I choose to do right, but it's going to be worse. The last one, Nafsa Mutmaina. This is when the soul have been controlled, shaped, and formed in the shape that Allah wants it. And that soul, through the constant remembrance of Allah, the dhikr of Allah. Remember, there's a hadith that says everything will rust. And they asked, "Oh Rasulullah, will the heart rust?" He said, "Yes, the heart will rust." He said, "But there's a polish for everything. And the polish for the heart is the dhikr of Allah." Y'all remember that hadith? It's a common hadith. Everything will rust. But there's a lump of flesh in the body. If it's right, then everything else is right. Now, that's where we get into about this great quest of the human being. The human being will have to go through this process of evolution on this earth. Some will make it the first. We all present with Nafs Samara. This is where our desires, our wants control us. They're there for a reason. You have to have nafs in order for you to survive, or you won't eat and satisfy your stomach. But if you overeat, you're going to get so big and crazy looking, you're going to kill yourself with your teeth. Isn't that right? So now you have to control the nafs of eating. The nafs of sex is there for a reason. If we don't have the nafs of sex, then how are we going to reproduce? Right? It's all there. It's all set up. It's there, but there are guidelines to follow. That's what the conscience is about. The conscience is there. The human being is not the total animal, only part animal. We just like any other animal, certain things, we rest. Okay, but the consciousness is where our battle goes on. Will we do right or will we do wrong? Now, this is where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam come in. This is where the Quran comes in. This is where the Sunnah comes in. This is where the historical process. This is where looking around the world and see what happened to everybody else came in. And this is where our own study of our own nation, region, and our own neighborhood comes in. But all of it, to come out right, has to be filtered through the Quran. So this Buniyya al-Islamu ala-Khams is here for you and I to train us to act and interact in the world that we're living and wind up with a chance to go to heaven. That's basically what the whole thing is all about. To wind up in heaven. But there's no free ride. And we live in an environment where all of us know the hadith. This world is a prison for a believer, right? And a playhouse, a paradise for the non-believer. Now, everything is legal here. There's no illegal, this is illegal, that's a little bit of dope, but there ain't nothing, everybody's doing it, so it can't be that illegal. Right? So, it's a paradise for the non-believer. But it's work for you and I. This is where nafs amara comes in, the knowledge of it, to control it. This is where the process of Islam is here, to cleanse, to purify, and to develop, to evolve our nafs through the consciousness. Nafs al-mutmainah is basically, we're on automatic pilot then. You know, when you get so well trained in sports or anything, you're on automatic pilot. One of my friends he's Charlie Shipes, he's a trainer, and he fought for the middleweight championship, fought for Curtis Coates in '68. And he's George Foreman's trainer this last time. They have a training camp in Marshall, Texas. In Marshall, Texas, that's the place. You ever see the great debates with Denzel Washington? That city was Marshall, Texas. The fighters in Oakland all trained there in Marshall, Texas. So it was a fight with, I think it was Roberto Duran and Hearns or something like that. And my partner was telling me about it. And he said Roberto Duran got hit so hard. Y'all remember Tommy Hearns would hit you so hard, he's like popping watermelons. Now that guy, he turned his hands over so good, and he spinning them around, and Duran was doing all kind of funny motions and jerky motions. And I said, well, why was he doing that? He said he was out on his feet, but his training let him know that there's a guy back there that turns his hand over, and if you ain't moving, he'll pop your head wide open like a watermelon. That's training. He was out on his feet, and his training kicked in. A lot of things in our life kick in through our training. We don't know why we did it, and sometimes we don't know how we did it. That's the beauty of our religious life. The ethics, the morals, and the rituals, when they all work together. No matter what fight we come up against, dear believers, here in America or around the world, if we wage war on the nafs and win that war, we can make a big effort in the world today. It's the last thing I want to say. Even the dumb people know that there's a war against Islam all around the world. And we know that the great war maker is here in America. The Zionists, the Americans, and the Saudi Arabians are causing all the world's troubles. Now we here inside the monster. Now we've come back to Islam. Are we going to accept our great God-given opportunity to fix the world we live in? If we fix America, don't say you can't fix it. The only reason we ain't trying to fix it because we're trying to join it. Right? We want to join the system instead of change the system. I don't mean revolution, I mean an evolutionary process that changes the world. This world is out of date and out of tune with the whole historical process. Right? We got a constitution over 200 years old, isn't that right? Way over, about 220, 30 years old almost. The Constitution. If you go to school for engineering, if you go to school for medicine, you got to go back every 5 years to get re-upped on what you was doing, isn't that right? If you graduated as a doctor in 1969, you wouldn't know none of these machines they got now. In 1969, they used to have an old hacksaw. They just saw your bones off and beat you upside the head and give you some big old dope pill this big and say you'll go home. Now they got a machine to put it over this boy here, this is what you got, right? You got to go back and find out how we going to run a world with a 230-year-old constitution made by crackpots and Indian killers, right? They talk about the founding fathers. Them guys was bums. The only thing they did was they just didn't want to be ruled by the other white folks, that's all. They wasn't no great people, George Washington, our father, either a slaughterer, go up in New York and drive out and they'll say George Washington troops in 1791 slaughtered these Indians, right? All the American heroes, bunch of bums, crackpots, crazy. And they the founding fathers. How we gonna follow someone? Can you follow a doctor that graduated in 1789? No. Well, how are we going to follow constitutions? Because we're too afraid to make a new one. We live in the old one because, and last thing, look at the people that's running the world. Look at your president. This man is the biggest crackpot. He's the biggest cartoon character in the world. Look at the sheriffs in our little town. Look at the people who's running the world. They run in our world. We have to live according to the way they tell us to live. That's why your life is messed up. Our life is messed up. The world is messed up because people running the world is messed up. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and negligence. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides. Ameen. Is there one of those empty boxes around? One of the boxes that we had for, is it one that with anything in it? We just want to pass the box around one more time in case y'all want to give a little sadaqah to the 50th time. Technically, see, when we go out and we hustle and we have zakatul fitr on the box. That's zakatul fitr that you have to pay. You have to pay it before prayer. But on the other side of the box, we have sadaqatul fitr. That's just a technical thing. Sadaqatul fitr is a voluntary gift. You don't have to give it, it ain't nothing, you just do it if you want. So, you know, we at the Islamic Center and everywhere else, so after the people pray Zakatul Fitr, well, just pass a pan around. If ain't nobody, it ain't no box. Yeah. Okay. Well, don't worry about that. Just get a pan, right? See that shiny pan? Just get a pan. We're not funny. See, there's a pan, but somebody, there's a shiny pan, and pass that pan right through the sisters, pass it through the brothers, and then I'll let y'all go. Yeah. Yeah, that's just a pass the pan. We don't have to have letters on it. This is a pan for money.
Collection plate.
Huh? We don't have to have no collection plate. Hey man, we'll do like the Arabs do. They throw a blanket down on the floor. Right? And they say, yeah, that's okay, just put it back where it was. We just fill it up there, believers. Now I'll tell you why. We have iftar every night. Now I ask y'all, is the food prepared pretty good for people to come? And you have all you want every night for Ramadan. Okay. So that's basically out of the pocket of the people, so we do what we can. So that's all we're collecting for, is so the next go around we'll have something to buy the food before. Yeah, this did you have a whole pocket full of money? But no, I'm just joking. Okay, dear believers, here's what we're gonna do. That's for the sisters, And we got 2 lines for the brothers, which we got plenty of time. We'll roll out the mats and we'll just take care of business.